Okay, you're going to hear Lloyd throughout this market update. So, this is a market update brought to you by Lisa and Lloyd. So, he's not going to sit here with me, but he's going to be off camera and probably purring. So, all right. So, this is May of 2025, and we're going to talk about the differences between year over year, what's going on in the Coachella Valley, etc. Now, keep in mind, different neighborhoods are going to be different. Now, I'm not a robot, so I have to read this. So, for single family homes, right? So, we're not talking about condos and we're not talking about manufactured homes. We're just talking about single family. The listings under contract are up. And this might sound weird to you because I know probably you're hearing a lot of stuff on the news that, the market is terrible or whatever, but the listings under contract are up, meaning the ones that have, had an offer on them and the offer's been accepted. That is up 32%. Now, here's the kicker. Of course, we have more listings. So, right, so that's going to be important. But we only have 23% up for months of supply. So months of supply is how many months would it take based on the current number of listings going under contract versus how many are active. So that math works out to X amount of months, right? So if you have 10 listings on the market and there's 5 under contract, then you have 2 months of inventory, right? So that if you have 2 months of inventory versus 10 months of inventory, as you can imagine, the math means that if you have a lower number, it is more of a seller's market. If you have a higher number, it's more of a buyer's market. So the fact that the months of supply is up, it was up to 7. And so that's high. It was 5.7 last May. It's 7 months of inventory now. Okay. So we have more under contract, but we have more months of supply, but not as much as under contract, right? So that's beating the numbers. So I found that pretty interesting. The actual inventory, just in general, for the Coachella Valley from May of last year to May of this year was up 19%. Again, with my first grade math skills, I can tell you that going up 19% for listings, but then having 32% more listings under contract is a good thing, right? So yeah, there's actually more to pick from now. So one thing I've heard a lot of buyers talk about is, God, I don't like anything that's on the market or whatever. I've been hearing that for a long time. Or if there is something really good on the market, in some cases, if it's priced appropriately, it really needs to be priced appropriately, you might actually still see multiple offers. I ended up with multiple offers on my last listing. We hit the price correctly. So the summary overall is good. What that means too, by the way, so if you've got 7 months of inventory versus 5.7. 5.7, most people consider 4 to 6 months of inventory a neutral market, right? The markets that maybe a lot of us grew up with. You're not going to put your house on the market and it's going to sell overnight. It's going to take several months. It's going to take, some of the numbers are, maybe you have about, I want to say about 5 showings a week. And in 10 to 12 showings, you should have an offer. So that would be an appropriately priced house. You're not overinflated on your price. You're not underinflated on your price. That's a fairly basic standard that a lot of agents follow that tends to be pretty consistent. So if you're looking at that number and let's say you're getting all the showings, but you're not getting an offer, you are probably priced, give or take, about 3% too high. And if you're getting no showings, you might be priced closer to 5% too high or more. And it could also be a specific market like neighborhood issue too. So this is all of the Coachella Valley. But right now, it is technically being considered a balanced market, but it is starting to trend in direction of the sellers. Okay, so so right now our unit sales are also looking there's one more thing I wanted to tell. Our market time, days on market was about 65 days on the market, and that's down from about 71 in April, but up slightly from May of 2024. To be perfectly frank, honestly, even during the, like hot sellers market, that number, it wasn't like 2, right? I mean, people would have thought that that would have been the number, but it wasn't. The numbers then were still closer to 40. Just 20 days sitting with your house on the market feel like a long time? It does. It does. I totally get that. But the numbers, for normal historically are probably, you know, 60 to 90 days. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing. We're just seeing more of a normal market. Now, keep in mind too that this is in the midst of elevated interest rates. So the median price, sale price for 2025 was down slightly, not by much, but it was a little bit. It was actually 7%. So that's interesting. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's 1%, 1% down. The change from last month was 7%, but 1 month to the next is tough to quantify. So the average selling price for May of 2025 was 675 and May of 2024 was 683. So there's that. Now, keep in mind, I've got these reports that are really cool that our multiple listing service comes up with. And I'm happy to send these to you too if you'd like. Perhaps I'll link them below. I don't know if anybody wants them. Maybe I gotta wait and see if anybody wants them. The condo months of supply. So we'll go back to that real quick. So if this is for condominiums. Now we have a lot of those around here, obviously. One of the nice things about condominiums, right, is you have a lot of snowbirds here. It is more of the lock and leave lifestyle, right? So you've got everything's basically taken care of on the outside of your house. And just FYI too, I do know of home concierge services. So if you're somebody who leaves for the summer, or maybe just the majority of the time and you're only here for a couple months or whatever, I've got some great people I can refer you to that will take care of your house. They'll go pick up packages for you. They'll get your mail. They'll water your plants. They'll make sure that they flush your toilets because that's actually something that needs to be done. Good, just the basic maintenance for your house. So months of supply in Coachella Valley for the condos is up 28% to 6.8 months. It's almost exactly the same as the single family. The inventory was up also. It's up 24%. So there's a lot more condos on the market. And the days on market for condos is up by 19%. So what does that look like? So the days on market back in 2024 was about 57. It's now about 68. That's still not bad. It's 11 more days. So sometimes those percent numbers can throw you. And that's the other thing too. One of the things I want to do here with this market update is bring you like the real picture, because the headline could be months of inventory for May is up 28%, right? But it's still just 6.8 months. It's still a balanced market. People are thinking that we're going to have like another 2008, and in all likelihood, without some other thing that isn't even on the horizon right now happening, we're just not. It's just not the same market. That was a largely a market that was driven based on fraud in the lending market. So we had a lot of people owning homes who shouldn't have. Right now, a lot of that has changed because of the Dodd-Frank Act back in 2010, which has required stricter loan standards, which means that most of the people who own the homes right now can afford them. There's always going to be some level of foreclosure, but there isn't much right now at all. It's actually relatively low. So keep in mind too, here's another reason it's low. Anyone who's owned their home for more than 3 years has plenty of equity. There's been a lot of price increase, which of course isn't good either, because that, honestly, the prices are too expensive right now. But, let's face it, they're not going to go down until the demand does. And right now, the prices really aren't going down that much. They might be correcting a hair. This is not 2008 where you bought something literally 1 year for $225,000 and the next year went for 80. I mean, I saw that. It was crazy. And it was scary. It was hard for people. Right now, we do not have that. We're seeing you know, a little, maybe this neighborhood's down a little bit, this neighborhood's up a little bit, right? Okay, so let's go back to condos. But you can see how um, the the crazy headlines can be very deceptive. What's happening right now is very minimal, just kind of normal markets, you know. It's also summer. That's going to be a little bit slower. Um, you know, one of the guys that I listen to, I try to educate myself all the time. I've been doing this for 26 years. I do not know everything. I want to listen to all the experts in the field, but I love the guys there's that I listen to about reports and stuff. And he said, it's summer. Everyone's going to be, you got a barbecue. You're having a high noon. You're not thinking about moving, right? It's kind of true. It's true here too, because it's hot, right? A lot of people leave this time of year. All right. So the median price um, was down a little bit from 24 to 25. So it went from, oh, I'm sorry, I take it back. I read that opposite. It was not. It's actually up. It was 465 for an average sale price for a condo in the Coachella Valley. It was 465. It is now 475. All right. That is clearly higher. So I read that wrong. So the condo prices have gone up. And I have some thoughts on that too. And so that's the basics. But just so you know, so both markets right now, condo and single family, are considered balanced. Now, as far as the thoughts on that, why might condos be heading in a little different direction? I noticed in my own community too that homes with pools were selling way better for quite some time than homes without pools. Now we all have community pools. Well, not all of us. It's too much to explain outright on this video, but most people in this community have access to community pools. Most of us have multiple pools we can go to, but a private pool was always doing better. So all of a sudden, I've noticed that flipping a little bit. So now you're actually finding that a home without the private pool, because you do still have access to the community pool, those are selling better. So why might that be the case, and why might condos be selling better? Well, because with the high interest rates, because the home prices are, quite frankly, too high, people can't afford the price for the house with the private pool as easily as they can afford the house without one. So a lot of people are like, I will go to the community pool. I'm fine with that. A lot of people, I hear it all the time, they don't really use their private pool that much either. I lived in a house one time that had a private pool. I didn't use it nearly as much as I thought I would. And I thought I would use it all the time. I thought for sure. And I didn't. So the private pool homes are not selling as well. The single family are kind of losing out a little bit, because their prices have gone down a touch, whereas the condo prices have gone up a little bit. Again, more affordable. So I think that's an interesting statistic. The price per square foot, though, 2024 to 2025 for condos has gone down a little bit, from 380 in 2024 to 361 in 2025. Let's look at the average price per square foot. It's gone up a little bit for single family. Isn't that interesting? So 441 in May of 2024 and 452 in May of 2025. So that is your average price per square foot for a single family home. And yeah, so that's your market report for the Coachella Valley for May of 2025. So that's what we're looking at. We are not looking at the zombie apocalypse in the housing market. Now, again, some neighborhoods are going to be a little different, and I like to use mine as an example. Well, I don't like to, because it means that my house price has gone down a little bit, and it has. And you know what? It was probably too high at one point, to be perfectly frank, because we allow short-term rentals. Starting to be to my chagrin lately, I have to be perfectly frank, but we allow short-term rentals here. And so for a while, people were just buying these up like crazy. And so that was flooding the market with people who were just going to be investors and only use this house as a short-term rental. So those prices went up. Well, Much like I think what happened in Arizona is Arizona, I believe, passed a law, and I could be a little bit off on this, but somebody from there can correct me, that the municipalities cannot say you can't do a short-term rental. So Arizona got quite flooded with these things. Well, the same thing happened in our neighborhood because we live very close to the Empire Polo Grounds, which is where the festivals happen. Coachella and Stagecoach being the most popular. We did have a heavy metal one called Power Trip, which actually I would have liked to have gone to, but couldn't for whatever reason. But anyway, so they have festivals there, so they get a high rental rate for those festival times. Now, a lot of people bought in here thinking, hey, we're just going to rent it out. We're just going to be swimming in the money, hand over fist. Well, too many people did that. So, too much competition, even though more people actually technically were renting Airbnbs, the competition here diluted that. So the prices had to come down a little bit. And let me share with you, I also am privy to some information on one of them. And if you have a mortgage on this house, you're probably not making any money. So you've got a lot of people who bought these and probably made some pretty good money for a year or so, but then that started to go down. So what does that do to the whole neighborhood? Well, it means the whole neighborhood is going to be more affected by those prices. So the reason that the prices got moved up, all sorts of people bought, well, I don't care how much it costs. I'm going to buy it because I'm just going to make all this money on it. And that's kind of what people were doing. They were just really pushing up the prices, especially if the house had a private pool, because those rent for more for Airbnbs. And now it's like, well, oh, shoot, we can't make any money. So now we're going to have to either rent it long term or sell the house. And so a lot of people, we have a high months of market in our neighborhood because of that. A lot of short-term rentals on the market. And at some point, those will get cleared out. I really thought they'd kind of be cleared out by now, but they're just not. And it's because of that stubborn interest rate. Gosh, it's been so stubborn. So that is a different number that you're going to see in ours versus the Coachella Valley overall. There's a lot of municipalities out here and a lot of HOAs that have decided hard no to the short-term rentals because neighbors, this is one of them, get frustrated with people who come and are rude and play loud music. It's like, this is my home. I don't want to live next to a party. Okay. If you were in a hotel, you would get kicked out if you were doing this. But for some reason, some people think it's okay to just come and throw a rave in a backyard in a residential neighborhood. And those are the people, and if you're one of them, you're the reason that these are going away. And because people are voting them out, they're like, we are tired of this. Now, the people who come in and just enjoy the home and treat it respectfully are great. And we love, love, love having those people here. So, but you know, the bad apples, if you will, are going to potentially ruin it for everybody. So those are some of the things that we are seeing in the Valley is a lot of people saying, I've had it with the short-term rentals. And so far, Rancho Mirage has said hard stop, even if the HOA allows it. They used to say no short-term rentals unless the HOA allows it. Then they actually turned that around and said, nope, we're not doing it anymore. I haven't heard if anything's changed about that. I'm fairly certain it hasn't, though. That's my understanding. La Quinta and Palm Springs, I think, have or at least they did, but they might probably still. And if you're interested in short-term rentals, I can always look this up for you. But have a moratorium, like no more for now. At least let's just put the pause button on. It will still allow the people who have them right now to continue. HOAs are voting them out, but anyway, but you get the idea. So that's like a side note, but it will affect you if you're in the market in the Coachella Valley, because it's a big aspect of living here is having short-term rentals, because let's face it, that's what almost more than other areas, like let's say Las Vegas as an example. Maybe Las Vegas is the best example, but they have snowbirds too, so maybe it's not a good example, but let's just think of some place that might not have a lot of snowbirds. Let's Lake Tahoe or something, right? So their short-term rentals, or people want to go hang out there, but they're not going there for months at a time. People come here for months at a time, And so we've got a lot of short-term slash seasonal, right? So it's already a furnished home. And so part of the year, maybe they just do short-term rentals, but then maybe they're like, hey, so you'll see a lot of this when you're looking at leases in the Coachella Valley. You'll see months, blocks, and like, okay, because there's our MLS really should get with the times, but we don't have a way to put in if there's different amounts for different months or whatever. So we end up putting those in the marketing remarks. Hey, from October to December, it's $5,000 a month. But then from January through February, it's $6,000. And from March and April, because those are really the months, it's going to be $7,000, right? So if you see that in there, that's what they're saying. We have a seasonal, but we want you to rent it for a month at a time. That same house could also be a short-term rental part of the time as well. And you could also maybe find it on Airbnb, but you're probably going to find a better rate if you look at the MLS. Anyway, so that's a little bit side note of what's going on as far as the short-term rental markets. But all of this information, like I said, is available. I can send it to you. I can hop on a Zoom or a text with you if you want some more information about your home, or you're thinking about moving here and you just want to chat about it, you just want some good info, I'm here. I'm not a hard salesperson, so if you really just like, hey, I have questions, you can call me. So I am Lisa Angel with eXp Realty of Southern California, and I am here to help you live your best desert life. See you on the next video.